Hello, Simon here at Heart Osteopathy. This is a very quick stretch routine. It's the absolute bare minimum. I go through it very, very quickly. I normally use it at the end of my gym workouts when my muscles are warm already. And that's a place where you can start if you'd like. It's the absolute bare minimum. So we start off with wrist rotations, stretching the pecs, hands behind your back, palms facing towards you. That's for the front of the arm, stretching the shoulder as far back as you can. We switch the hands to the palm facing away from us, and that's for the front of the shoulder. You then hold onto your wrist and pull the shoulder down and pull the neck to the opposite side. You can move your neck to get all the muscle fibers there of the traps and the upper shoulders. Carry on around the back, self-hug, chin tucked back, head drop forward, and that's a stretch for between the shoulder blades. You can make it a dynamic movement by moving the neck a little bit. Arm across the chest for the back of the shoulder and the back of the shoulder blade as well, and under the arm as well to get the fibers at the top of the shoulder. Finally, a tricep stretch. We've now gone all the way around the shoulder girdle. Apart from the pec. And now we've been all the way around the shoulder girdle. Let your head drop forward, roll segment by segment, vertebra by vertebra, letting every little bit of your spine ease into that forward bending movement. We move on to a puppy pose with a little bit of side bending there to bring some backward bending through the mid-back. Going down into child's pose to bend the low back into forward bending. I like that side bending element to get the flanks and the lats as well. You can make it a dynamic movement by adding a little bit of rotation there. Into thread the needle, shoulders straight down to the floor, pushing with the opposite hand to introduce rotation through the spine. And then we move into a sphinx, so traction through the spine from the elbows, not necessarily reaching up, but really reaching forward, and let the head drop forward to add a little bit of traction through the spine. Into a cobra to introduce backward bending in the lumbar spine, and straight into downward dog, pedaling the feet to get a little bit of a calf stretch. We move on to the hip flexor stretch, pelvis tucked under, and lunge forward to open the front of the hip. You can add a little bit of side bending away from the hip that you're stretching to really get the top part of the muscle onto the other side. Pelvis tucked, lunge forward, raise the arm up to get the whole length of the muscle. We've done the front of the hip. We're going to move on to the back of the hip. Grab your knee, pull it towards you. And then holding a little bit lower on the shin to introduce external rotation, bring it towards the midline for the glutes, and then a full spinal twist holding onto the outside of the knee. The head is turned in the opposite direction and the arm as well. Into piriformis stretch, and we move on to the other side. Pull the knee towards you. Hold a bit lower to get the glutes towards the midline. Hold the knee from the outside and all the way across the midline. Arm and head stretch the opposite direction to get a full spinal twist. Cross the leg over, and now you're doing piriformis with the heel across the opposite knee. Quad stretch, of course. Don't forget the pelvic tuck when you do that to get a full stretch of the quads. Same on the other side. We now do the back of the thighs. Hinge from the hip. Don't bend from the back. Really hinge from the hip to feel that nice pull at the back of the thighs. And then you can bring your knees into a little bit of a bend to bring the stretch really strongly onto the leg that is straight, pushing the knee back on the leg that you're stretching. Hinging from the hip is important at this stage. We now go on to the adductors. Let the hip drop on the side you're not stretching, and you can bend all the way to the side. going onto the outside of the hip. The side you're stretching has the foot going back. And foot back on the side you're stretching. Really let that hip drop to the side. And we finish with a calf stretch. So as you can see, I'm not spending any length of time in any of these stretches. If you want to if you want to gain length through a muscle, you'll have to hold them for much longer. But if you're just trying to do a quick stretch routine, that would be the way forward.